Hello everyone, my name is Ben and welcome back to PASSTHEauxCORD, a channel where I'm warm but not warm enough to take off my hoodie. We left this off at track number 5, The Spell of Mathematics, and kind of the issue that I was having is that they kind of keep hitting us with the same gimmicks on here. It really goes from being calm to dramatically heavy all the time on this album, and the first few times it's like, okay, wow, this is really cool. When it comes in and makes it more heavy, it becomes a lot more impactful and really gets you into the mood of the song a lot more when it does that. But on repeated attempts and more repeated attempts, it just makes me feel like the songs are way too long and they're somewhat too consistent to each other, and I just can't get one singular vibe out of a song. You know, I have to have this duality of feelings going on in a track to where you just can't really get into the mood of a track, and I feel like that's going to make me want to come back to them a little bit less. But of course, if you saw part 1, you know all that already. And Pompeji is the next one on here, which the thing that comes to mind is Pompeii. It could be a play on words of some kind on here, but I'm not really quite sure. Bio isn't clearing anything up for me. It just says that he wanted to use seagulls in a song for a long time, so I assume we have a seagull sample. Interesting. Let me look up the word Pompeji. Is it a location? It may be a place. Yeah, we're gonna go with it's probably a place because it's kind of spelled in a way that I would expect it to be one, but yeah, let's get into it. Again, we kind of have a more mellow sound here, and I'm hoping it sticks with it. Really like the ominous sampling going on here. Very strange. Yep, and there it is. There it is again. Okay, it's somewhat emotive. I gotta give it that. There's the seagulls. Seagulls are gonna make a lot less sense when the big gent riffs come back in. It has no impact because you've done it to me so many times. The bad part is, this is probably one of the best implemented uses of it so far. It's so strong and emotive, but it's been done. It's been done. So nice sounding already, you know. Wish we just had this in a... Again, I raise you the fact that this is a 5-minute and 25-second song. We are halfway through it, and it feels like it has had more dynamic changes than you would get out of a 5-minute song already halfway through this. You know, there's just too much going on. It doesn't let you relax and get into the mood of any part of this, so it really kind of takes the appreciation out of it. It's almost comical how much this song switches up, because you just have this 2-line chorus that does this, and then it's back to the calm and mellow portion. Why couldn't have you just had a more emotive, and even if you do some of the scream vocals, even if you kind of yell that chorus and kept it at a mellow instrumental instead of bringing these huge heavy riffs in, I feel like it would have been so much more entertaining. Sounds really good. That's the problem. That's why I hate to criticize it. Vocals on this really make me want to like it. Okay. This would be such a good payoff if the rest of the song didn't have heavy moments, man. I would love to be enjoying this portion right now, but instead it just feels out of place. And I can tell this is going to be a really good transition too. Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. It's so good, but it does too many things all the time. Look. If you took that last like 2-minute portion there where it was all had the white noise going on there, it had the really subtle kind of riff holding the whole thing together, it had the synth kind of noises going on in there as well, the odd kind of sample that just crept in there too, that would have been, if it was like a separated interlude or something, that would have been my favorite track on the album, okay? And honestly, I think this song is my favorite one on the album anyways, just because it did that, and most of the song at least stuck to that mellow atmosphere, it would have been such a good payoff at the end if you would have kept that very mellow, spacey, calm atmosphere with the white noise and everything, that long instrumental portion. If you kept that in there and didn't have these huge dramatic chorus sections on here, it happens 3 times, all in the first 3 minutes of the song, that it just gets really heavy and then cuts way off again. Okay, if you would have just kept it simple, this would have been such an amazing song. That's the big problem here. That's the problem. Lyrically, this song kind of did it for me as well. You've got all kind of like biblical imagery going on in here. I mean, it still seems like it's focusing on this kind of broken relationship and these strong emotions of before. Cool, I guess. So now, the next track on here, The Link is Dead, is one that makes me a little bit nervous, okay? This one is the only track out of the 10 that has a little explicit marker next to it. And this one track with the explicit marker is apparently, in someone's mind, enough to warrant putting the parental advisory sticker, basically ruining this really nice cover for the sake of edginess. Because let's be real, in this day and age, parental advisory stickers, pretty sure it's not regulated to have those on there anymore. I don't think that anyone really bothers. But either way, I've seen examples of this where just like one track has a swear on it and it just ends up looking this way, where it's acting like the entire thing has a lot more than it does. But the fact of the matter is, it wouldn't have very much mass appeal and radio appeal if they had a lot of those swear words all over the tracks. So they don't, and then they just stick it on one song for edgy sake. But we'll see. We'll see. Rambling aside, track 7, The Link is Dead. And I really love this intro. It's coming in so nicely from the last track. Really keeping up that mood. What you doing? Had to, didn't you? Honestly, I'll take it here though. So dark. Is that gonna be the only swear? Oh, here it is. Totally unnecessary. It's just shoehorned in there. Knew it. This one has stayed kind of dark though. Liking it so far, right? This is the second instance, again, lyrical gripes here, but the second instance of the phrase "no fun" with like an incredibly angry sentiment behind it, and it's such a weirdly contradictory thing, because saying something's no fun just like implies that, wow, I'm really not having a good time, but it's whatever, where he sounds so pissed off about it. Okay, I guess. Oh, that last line was really just not good.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
It's kind of interesting. Hello. Okay. That was something. I give it to him here. Yeah, that was actually really cool. Hell yeah. Actually was an interesting track. Wow. Okay, and you know, the fact of the matter is, I really shouldn't feel like that, considering there's only been 7 so far, but it feels like there's been so many more than 7 because all of these are so long. Again, didn't need to be that long, but at least it's not one of the longer ones on here at only 4 minutes and 37 seconds. It did something with its runtime, you know, and we only had one cutaway into a more mellow section, and you know what? It kept up the atmosphere of the song. It didn't just make you think it's happy, peaceful, sunny, fun time suddenly, and then just hit you with some more riffs. You know, it still felt dark. It still felt creepy during that section, you know, and this whole song really had that feeling to it, you know. It just felt gritty and edgy, and this song was so edgy. You probably have the worst lyricism on the entire album on one of the best tracks sound-wise. Pretty much the essence of this one is just that I'm pissed off so that they could shove some swears shoehorned in there. That's so lame, man. But regardless of that, I mean, I can ignore it because, you know, if the explicit language was used across the rest of the album, I'd be totally fine with it here. I'm just mad at the fact that it feels forced in here. Whatever, that's okay, you know. I guess at the end of the day, I'm not really going to be coming back to this for lyricism all that much anyways. So whatever. Good track. I have to stop picking it apart before I decide I don't like it. Radiant City is track 8. Shorter one on here, so I have high hopes. And my headphones backward. That's another thing I have. Ooh, that bass line. Very nice already. This was kind of carrying on the same tone as the last one. Dark. There's a lot of variation from the verse to the chorus, but it's not enough where it totally takes me out of it either. I was so worried they were gonna blow it there. No, they did not. You know, it's almost enough. Almost enough to take it out of it, but it doesn't. You know, they eased into it. It sounds more bright now just because of what came before it, but it didn't lose me in there, you know? Alright, and that's the end of it, which was abrupt, but I will take it because that means that it didn't take a fucking hour and a half to transition that shit. Good track. Actually, yeah, good one, for sure. Like I said, it had a lot of moments in there where I was like, oh no, it's gonna do the fucking thing again. It's gonna get all mellow, and then it's gonna try to hit me with some riffs and try to make me go, wow, that's so cool. And then, you know, it wouldn't have been because I did it a bunch of times already, but it did not. So where can I complain? I really cannot. I really cannot, because there were a lot of moments in there where I was like, wow, this isn't looking good. It ended up good, okay? You know, if I'm coming back to that track to revisit it, I wouldn't be sitting here like waiting, dreading that it would get bad, okay? You know, I definitely wouldn't be doing that. So it's kind of cool that, you know, it ended up going the way that it did. It worked really well. Cool track. At the same time, though, I'm just not going to complain. You know what? I was about to, and then I realized that I am being way too critical. So, Headless is the next one. 5-minute song. This is going to go poorly. Let's go. You're hitting me with some noise rock things going on. This sounds like Godspeed to You, Black Emperor. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to in 5 seconds, but just an observation. I mean, it kind of eased into it. I could cut myself on the damn edge of this song. This portion is really growing on me, I gotta say. That was kind of neat. Alright. Why does it sound like a different song now? What's the point? Why is this like the 5th time this chorus is came up? this do anything else, or just... Nope. Nope, it doesn't. Yep, that wasn't gonna be good, and it wasn't good. It did too much and simultaneously not enough at the same time, because the bigger portion of the song that they went with was really subtle. It had like 2 notes in that riff that were just kind of repeated a bunch of times. The lyrics were boring, the vocals were very calm. It was just kind of soaking in this dark edginess that the whole album is kind of portrayed, but at least the rest of it has been doing something with it, you know? I mean, it's either got too much going on, or it's really just gets stale by the end of it, and this one did both of those things. Because not only did you have this kind of just thing just chugging along, not doing much of anything, okay, you could have cut it off at 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, I don't know, somewhere around there, and would have been just fine. But instead you had this moment where it cuts away and sounded all bright. It went from sounding like a torture chamber underground locked away in hell to a bright sunny meadow, and then it just went right back to it. And by the time it went right back to it, the old sound was extremely boring. So at least it would have been an okay track if it didn't do that, but since it didn't, it's just kind of ass. Ohms, title track, last one. Let's go. Okay, we might be doing something here. This is new. It's a very, like, staggering riff. Yeah, the sound of the guitars here is way different. Normally this wouldn't sound interesting at all, but after the whole album it kind of does. Yeah, this is just kind of existing right now, but it's okay. Pretty interesting. Again, it wouldn't really sound interesting outside of the context of the album, but since the guitar tuning has been pretty much the same for most of this, it is interesting to see some variation. Alright. Yeah, that was actually a really solid closer to the album. I have to admit that much. Really served the purpose of a closer and served it pretty well. It definitely seemed to cause a conclusion to the narrative here. Our narrator seems to have came to some peace emotionally as compared to the very unstable moments of the earlier tracks, and a lot of that pent-up anger, a lot of that distress, I guess I'll say. And it really seems like they think at least they made it through this rough portion in their life. It ends as like kind of a hopeful closer, so it's kind of cool in that way. I definitely have to say, feels like an interesting track, but like I said, it's actually one of the least interesting ones on here outside of the context of the album, which is kind of unfortunate. And it had just some really regular rock vibes on there, you know, and it wasn't really giving me a whole lot else, which is kind of a shame, but I mean, that's just the way it was, I guess. That ending portion on there really did do pretty well, too, I gotta say. That closing guitar solo, or, well, at least instrumental portion with a lot of guitar in it, really, yeah, closed out the album pretty decently. Have to say, I did like that, at least. You know, it was an okay track. Alright everyone, so it's Ben from the future here, and I just wanted to warn you that I'm about to bitch a lot in the coming section of this review, this final statement kind of portion here. I do a lot of shit talking. And you know what? I stand by damn near everything I said, just because the one thing that annoyed me enough to where I feel justified in most of this. And that one thing still is that these tracks all seem to need to have this crazy duality of a really calm section and a really heavy section, and that is still the problem. But you're gonna see me talk about that later on here. But one thing I want to say is that I didn't give this enough credit for the good moments that it has and the good songs entirely that it has. Now, names of the tracks are escaping me right now, but I know that tracks 7 and 8 were legitimately good songs, and I did not give it enough credit based on the rating for that. It really just did not reflect in that way at all. And I have to say that there was some good moments in the first portion too. Those first two songs, I know that I really liked those. I think the third one was pretty good. It's just that the portion of that first half I didn't like was track 4 and 5, because that's where I started to notice that trope. And then when we hit the 6th track, that was almost an amazing song with the seagulls and the ambience and all that shit. It was almost a really great song, and then it kind of ruined it with the one thing. So I didn't give it enough credit for the good moments it has. I just want to put that out there, and because of that, I'm not going to be putting my original rating in the video that I was going to give this. Instead, I'm just going to tell you right here and right now that this is a 5 out of 10. But this album as a whole was absolutely a chore to sit through. Once you get 4 songs in, you see exactly where this album is going, and it just doesn't really let you down in your expectations. One thing you can certainly say about this is it meets expectations, because that's really a lot of all it did. And the worst part about it is, like, Pompeji, okay, had some super unique ideas on that track. That was a really innovative one on here, but you did the thing. You did the thing where it just can't stick with one mood, has to do like 5 of them in a singular track. If it was all a little bit more mellow, or at least a little bit more like spacey and calm, you know, it would have been such a good song. It would have been such a great song. But just because you have these immersion breaking moments all over it, it doesn't seem that way to me at all. You had tracks on here following that, though. You've got The Link Is Dead and Radiant City. Both of those actually stuck with their dark, gritty feeling, you know. I mean, are they some of my favorites idea-wise? No, but they end up being my favorite songs on the album just because they did what they wanted to and did it pretty well. And that's just all it did, okay? You know, it didn't go crazy into all these other realms and all these other genres trying to be all progressive and experimental, okay? It just did the thing and did it well. Because at the end of the day, I always encourage experimentation. I always encourage people to go a little bit out of their boundaries when making music and try some different things, because that's when you get the most interesting things out of music. Except they did that on the first 4 songs. They did the exact same interesting thing that you can barely call interesting at this point in time, because other people have done it before plenty of times. I'm sure Deftones have done it plenty of times before, but it did the interesting thing a lot of times, and by the end of this, it's so exhausting. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see any reason to want to sit through all of that again, which is really a damn shame, because I feel like it had so much potential to be way better than this album was. But regardless of that, let me know what you thought of the album down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Drop a like on the video if you did like what you saw today, and subscribe to the channel for more music related content coming your way. Hit the bell for notifications on that same thing as well. But that is just about going to wrap it up for this one, and I will see you in the next video.